we watched Texas State game yesterday, and we knew that they were an emerging tournament team. They just did a great job, and we knew this was not going to be easy. So at halftime, we were up by 14 points, and we knew that they were not going down like that. So in the third quarter, we did make some bad decisions. We quit guarding in the post and on the perimeter, and they got some momentum, and we were very fortunate in the end to be able to pull it out and come to an overtime, which I felt like we had an advantage with depth and things like that and senior leadership in overtime. But it just shows you when you're playing against a good team, a good tournament team, that they peaked at the right time. It looks like, we're very fortunate to come out here. You can't give anybody anything in this situation.
Our first question: in the first half, Alexis was on fire, got cold with shooting in the third period, but was there defensively. What do you contribute their fight to stay in the game and win?
Incredible will to win. Yes, it made us a little nervous when Alexis' shot wasn't going in, but more so because it came at a time when we had quit playing defense to the best of our ability. So that's when things got tight, but thank goodness she has enough good teammates around her that can hold the rope with scoring. Usually we like it more when Alexis' shots going in, and she did great. I think she had 36 points tonight and 18 rebounds, so we don't begrudge her at all. But yes, there was a point in time where a shot wasn't going in. I think her leadership, though, she's been in these situations before. She's won a national championship before at Gulf Coast State and was MVP there. So I mean, she's been in these situations where you have to ride the roller coaster up and down. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold. Let me keep rebounding.
When Tia Johnson hit the three-pointer +1 with 2:51 to go in overtime, could you finally breathe? And can you talk about that play and how that felt?
That when she came off right after that, because I just told her that's bigger than the Beatles. That was bigger than the Beatles. I mean, I don't know how that game would have gone right there if she wouldn't have hit that shot and made that, because it was just so tight, and they just kept nipping our heels for momentum. I mean, we were trying to hold that rope and hold the momentum. They just kept nipping our heels. That was definitely a moment right there, though.
And while Johnson hit that shot, Garanga and Dye both had offensive rebounds on that same possession in overtime. Obviously, they had huge games, but was the effort that gets those rebounds, is that what the difference is and what makes them outstanding players?
Absolutely. I mean, no coach can take credit for that. You can't take credit for that. Their will to win and the God-given ability they have was huge in that moment. Again, any little shift of momentum we could have given them, the game could have gone the other way, and they just put their foot down and said, I'm going to do all I can to not let them get that momentum with this rebound.
And is rebounding a critical thing in general for you? You had 30 second chance points and out-rebounded them almost 2-1.
I mean, that's what we call insurance. So we lead the nation in rebounding. We led the nation last year in rebounding. And, we take a lot of shots. We don't wait for the best shot. We take the first shot. So there's a lot of rebounds to be had in our games, but we pride ourselves in being great rebounders. And it's our insurance because we don't always shoot well. So on nights we're not shooting well, you can shoot as many times as you want to, as long as you keep getting the rebound. And that's our philosophy. And that's the main thing we stress within our program.
You seem to have Texas State on the ropes, especially at halftime. Did it cause concern for you early in the second half when you couldn't get a knockout?
Yes, yes, we knew there was going to be pushback, but I hated that it ran all the way back to, I think we got down by 1 point, maybe. I know we tied, but maybe down by a point. But yes, it was a great concern because, again, I sat at Pensacola State College yesterday and watched their game in the tournament. And if you look at what there's been more upsets on the men and women's side, definitely the women's side of all the tournaments, right? There's been more upsets than there are expected wins. So when we saw how they were playing in this tournament yesterday, we knew they're not going down easy. We knew the 14-point lead at halftime was kind of a facade.
Have you ever had two players combine for 53 points and 37 rebounds in a tournament game?
No, I don't know how many people who have. So I just want to thank God for that right there. But yes, they're tremendous. Just in this all year, they've been tremendous. And sometimes at different times, we're pretty good when either one of them are playing like that. But when two of them are playing like that, feel pretty good about it.
When you're a top seeded team and you get a big lead early, can it be hard to keep focus sometimes?
It's not the focus. I mean, this team is really focused. They really, really want to bring a trophy back to Troy. they're focused. They're not going to lose focus, I don't think. But it's managing the emotions. It's 3 days of staying on a high, really 4 days. We got here a day early. It's staying on a high. And even today we got here, we were used to being able to come out of the locker room when you get dressed, right? But we couldn't because of COVID and because of things like that. There were certain time restrictions. And we were just getting so hyped in the locker room 20 minutes before we could even come out of the locker room. So, and I was worried about 2 highs, and I worried about the lows. And, those are things I'm sure all coaches worry about this time of year. But I don't think we're going to lose focus, but I do want to do as good a job as we could possibly do of managing energy.
We have time for one final question. How much of an issue was Texas State's guard, Kennedy Kaler?
Her will to win needs to be commended. Not only her ability, but her will to win. That kid, anybody, whether you know basketball or not, you could look out there and see that kid's heart was on the line. She put her heart on the line, and commend her and her teammates. They wanted to make a run in this tournament. They did a great job in their time in the tournament, and we're fortunate to get out of here with a win against them.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. I think we're going to be going on to some Troy players shortly.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Alexis and Jasmine. Can you hear me okay? You good? You can hear? Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us for this post-game press conference. We'll be giving you some questions from the media at this time. The first question that comes up is, being the top-seeded team and getting a big lead early, do you think you guys let off the gas a little bit, perhaps? We'll start with Alexis on that question.
Yes, we did. We came out ready to win or ready to play and give our all.
Jasmine, do you have any response on, do you think you let up a little bit once you got the big lead, especially at halftime?
Definitely at halftime. I think we came out a little bit lackadaisical. We just had to get back in the flow of things. We just were making little lapses on defense and offense, just not taking care of the ball. So we just had to do a better at it coming out at halftime.
The next question is for Alexis. How were you able to control the board so well?
I just concentrate and make sure I box out first and then go get the board. And then, just imagine me getting a rebound over anybody else.
And Jasmine, you almost had a double-double as well. How do you keep your focus through the game?
Definitely my coaches and my teammates, they're constantly talking to me throughout the whole game. So they're helping me make decisions. And also my teammates they make it easier getting open on the floor. They're talking to me, so I know where they are on the floor. So that helps a lot.
Alexis, you had 37 points and 18 rebounds, I believe. Have you ever had stats like that in a game?
Maybe in high school. It's easy for
her. For both of you, again, was there any worry when Texas State was making a run in the second half? We can start with Alexis.
We were a little worried, but we just had to. We was getting nervous. We had to slow it down and play our game.
And Jasmine, were you concerned when Texas State started making that run in the second half?
Definitely a little bit of concern just because they were hit shots. They had built some confidence up, but we have a group full of seniors. We've been in this situation before, so we just had to slow things down and take our time.
And our final question for both of you, we'll start with Jasmine. Do you think you guys are going to be able to keep up this level of play going on in the tournament?
Definitely. This is what we do. We're Troy basketball. We run, we rebound, and we score. So we just have to go on to every game. We got to make sure we prepare properly, and we just play.
And Alexis, along those same lines, is there any issue of fatigue? You had to play an overtime game already in this tournament, but you think you can keep it up in the rest of the tournament?
Yes, sir. As long as I have my album pump, I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much for both of you. And now you guys can go ahead and get to the locker room and start getting ready for the next game.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to start off with the media. So at this time, once again, thanks to the media. We're joined by, we're going to start with Texas State head coach Zena Antoine. Coach, if you could start off with a brief opening statement, then we'll go to questions.
Everything's still so fresh. The excitement of being able to play in a championship setting, the excitement of playing the top seed and battling them all the way to overtime, and then sometimes the emotional letdown you have when the buzzer goes off and you end up on the other side. It's still pretty fresh for me, but I can tell you there is another level of excitement as far as what it looks like for us in the future, as well as what we accomplished within this season. There's so much that these student athletes have accomplished in playing in this very unusual year, especially being a team out of Texas who, combined with COVID, we had Hurricane Uri as well. And some people are still recovering within our state from that, and our athletes being able to play through that, having to attend class, study on the road, travel, find ways to stay healthy in order to play. My hats go off to my athletes and my coaching staff for everything they've been through, and to get our team to where we are. I am proud of that.
Thank you very much, Coach. And if you could just do me a favor and introduce your player that you have with us today.
With me to my left, which might be your right, is Ivyan Alexander. She is my only senior, a returning starter for us this season. I had 3 returning starters, and that was it. Everybody else is pretty much either new, transfer, didn't play. But Ivy is my standalone senior in our program. She has already graduated, so she probably wears the Sun Belt graduation patch. She is pre-med, and her plans are to go on and make us proud as a Bobcat.
Thank you very much. We're going to start off with some questions for Ivyan. The first question is, what was the mentality like down 14 at halftime, and how were you all able to rally back and take a lead?
I think we were fairly positive just because we knew we weren't doing the things that we needed to do. So when we got in the locker room, we just talked about once we start slowing them down and getting rebounds, we would be fine and we would pull back in the game.
Just waiting on the next question. Hold on. What was going through your mind when you guys started to get back into the game and you were closing in on the lead?
I think really just trying to keep our composure. Even myself, just not getting too high, too low, just so, we can stay focused and do what we need to do so that we could pull it out.
This year was a challenging year for all teams, obviously, as Coach said, with COVID and so many other things going on. But I know it's tough after just having a loss, but what positives do you take away from this season?
I think I just learned a lot about myself, being the only senior and having to really step up for my team. I think I got just as far as skills and learning how to lead people and motivate people. I feel like that was the biggest thing that I could do for everyone else. And I feel like that's the biggest takeaway I had this year.
Thank you very much, Ivyan. You can go ahead and head back to the locker room and we'll go to questions for Coach now.
Thanks, Ivy.
Coach, our first question, Troy closed the half with a 14-4 run to take a 17-point lead. Were you pleased with how your team responded and never gave up?
Of course, and I feel like that is who we've been here heading into March. You want to be playing your best basketball heading into March. I think what I was able to do and my coaching staff and our team was able to do is go deep in our bench. And if we're following our team and looking at how substitutions were being made and who was able to step up in different areas. We were a very youthful team in a lot of ways. And, it might have taken some time to get them where they needed to be in a very shortened season. I say very shortened season, but it's somewhat shortened season, basketball season due to COVID, that it started to pay off here towards the end. And we really got on a roll, really starting to find a rhythm. And I'm absolutely pleased. And for the entire time, I felt this is a winnable game. I didn't feel like, the odds were against us and this is just going to be so difficult that we need to come up with a fancy game plan. The only fancy game plan I had is how are we going to stop Alexis Dye. That kid is a special player. I was very clear with my team. I called her special all the time because, as you can see with her output tonight and what she's done, to me, she's a young woman who's a pro right now. And so that would be one kid that was a focal point. But outside of that, understanding that we would be able to get to scores, handling presses, running our defense the way we do, I was pretty confident in our team, what, our lead up was to that. So it's a game of runs and they say it to each other, really smart group. And they understood that. So there was never a panic or a franticness from the group, which always can put your mind at ease as a coach because there's very little management from that point for me. It's more about making them understand where we need to find opportunities ourselves.
Your team never gave up, and it seemed like Kennedy Taylor led with her attitude and her play. Do you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. I think, I've been a big advocate of Kennedy from the beginning. I saw it as a knock when she wasn't included in any preseason honors. And I think she felt the same. This is a young woman who I felt like her resume from last year spoke for itself. I think she put the exclamation mark on it now. Now, regardless of what's decided at the end, this kid is an all-conference player in my book by far. She is able to create. I always say that, you could throw some lemons at her and this kid makes lemonade on, at any time. And at that height and size, with the minutes that she plays, she's our special player on our team, that really that glue kid on the floor that makes us go.
I'm sure you watched plenty of film, but was it different seeing how relentless Dye and Karenga were on the floor?
No, I had plenty of dreams about what was going to happen and what I had to combat that. At some point, I figured, she's going to get her scores. We have to find our ways to some scores as well. That kid's a special player. I mean, there's so many times, she had 37 points. I said 27 of those were tough shots that kid hit. She hit some tough shots. The only thing you truly could do is no catcher, but I don't have the personnel to, I didn't feel we had the time and or personnel to be able to do that. I think so. When that happens, you have to understand you got to manage those players. Don't let them get above their scoring average, and as well, you have to make sure that you're able to control the our defensive output from the rest of the floor. And we struggle with that, but again, we were able to combat that with us being able to knock down shots and get into our comfortable rhythm that we've had over the last 2 weeks.
Were you pleased with how multiple players stepped up for you? And could you specifically comment on Nicole Leff?
I was definitely pleased. This was the team as I went into this season. This is the team that I envisioned. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself and our staff as far as what my expectation was, and understanding the depth of that COVID plays into training and where they're at and playing together. And so, I thought I'd see this team at the beginning of conference, meaning having this type of depth. But this is something that I wouldn't say I'm surprised. I'm more excited and happy that they're now having opportunities to play. I've played different freshmen on this team. We have 3 freshmen. I played them at different times. And I found that each one of them brings a different skill set that helps our team. So Nicole, due to a variety of reasons, has been in and out of practice. And so that she was able to get herself in a position where she's in shape and she can really go helps, especially when Denasia Hood is down. Nicole also is a very skilled player, similar to Denasia. She can shoot from the outside. She can put it on the floor. She can score back to the basket. She can rebound. She's just a freshman, and she hasn't had opportunity, more so due to the fact that she was out for different periods of time for different reasons, more health related than anything else. And so now having her opportunity has been great, as well as you got to remember, we have Gabby. She didn't play a lot tonight. That's a transfer from Fresno State. This young woman, graduated from Fresno State in 2 years and came here to Texas State to play for us. She's almost a 6th, 7th woman off the bench for us. And then another young woman in Tiana Eaton, who also didn't go through a preseason with us. So yeah, I'm really excited for sure. But Nicole, she did a phenomenal job tonight. She said it felt good when she had opportunity to play. She had opportunity to play last night as well. And, anytime your players say, yeah, it feels good, you want to get them out there. You want to get them out there early so they can continue that positive mojo.
I have time for 2 more questions. What did you tell your players at halftime when you were down by double digits, as well as throughout the second half as you started to come back? Was there any specific theme you were telling the players?
At halftime, it was pretty simple. They knew it. I said, you know what? This is a very simple scout, but it's difficult to execute. So we talked about, the boxing out, not allowing second chance opportunities and being more patient in our scores. And truly that was it. And they already had that written up on the board. Again, this is a pretty intelligent group. And so now it's the execution part. That's the hard part, the transition part. And every single timeout and opportunity we had, we just talked about it, take it one possession at a time. Just keep fighting, keep battling, it'll happen. The one thing I taught them about, the way you're going to know that we're in this game and we're making them nervous is if they pull that press back out again. And sure enough, boom, that press came out, and that's all they needed to give them more confidence in understanding, okay, this is y'all are taking us serious now. And then from there, you let the athletes play. If you feel confident in your players and you let them train, you got to let them play at some point without, pulling back the reins. At least that's my philosophy with my particular team. And that's what I did. I didn't want to control the game for them from the standpoint of dictating everything. They need to play in flow, and that's how they were able to fight back. They were able to play in flow of the game. If they look tired, I call it timeout, give them a little bit of advice, but they needed to be able to play in flow, and they definitely did a great job of that.
And our final question, you mentioned that you only have 2 seniors on the team, so you
I
have a
only have
very
one
young
senior.
one senior and 1 grad student, right? That's right, and she's back.
And that graduate student has 3 years.
Right, she's back. Correct.
Yeah.
My apologies. So you have a very young team. What's the future like for Texas State basketball?
The future is going to be really competitive, and I'm just really excited about that. I think they all understand that. Ja'Kayla Bowie had a coming out season for herself. I think she's definitely, flexed her muscles, if you will, and proven that. We already know we have Kennedy coming back, Denasia Hood. She had that ankle injury, and she's been kind of gimpy here more recently. She's coming back. We have Lauren Thompson coming back. Lauren just had 1 year at VCU where she didn't play much, and now this is also her coming out season. Tiana Eaton has to get rolling, and we've got those freshmen like you talked about, Nicole Leff, and 2 other freshmen that we have on this team. But the future, not only is it bright, but this is a future where I'm going to have a lot of expectations for myself and my coaching staff from them as we step into that new season. But for right now, I've told them they need to rest. This has been mentally taxing for them for so many different reasons, and they just need rest. They don't need to hear a lot of, barking and conditioning and what this future means. And they just need to be able to rest and just be college students. And then, we'll come back to it later to get them excited about the future. But for sure, as a coach moving into next year, yeah, I'm excited because we beat everyone at the top, with the exception of Troy, at least on our side. And clearly understanding the way things played out. If they played out a little bit different, we had more opportunity to play this team or that team, or we didn't have this injury or that injury. I felt like I give this momentum earlier, but we got the momentum we needed here to compete at the end with the #1 team. So what coach wouldn't want that opportunity? And I know our fans and our families are really proud of these young women and everything they've been through.
Thank you very much for your time today, Coach. We really appreciate it. And please have a safe trip back to Texas.
Thank you. Eat 'em up, Cats. Thank you.